Welcome, everyone. It's Josh, Fusion Fantasy Football. Not a next week tonight episode, nothing like that. I owed a bunch of people a quick video talking about the FusionFlex Charity League. Of course, the people I owe the video are the people who were kind enough to donate and be a part of the league. Um, Quick background: FusionFlex League is a whole format that's very similar to Scott Fishbowl. Basically, the idea behind it is if you have a problem with Superflex leagues, you might actually like my league because it has more Superflex spots, got rid of required quarterback entirely, but also adjusted the scoring. So basically, a flex is a flex. Could be a quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, running back. It doesn't matter. The scoring is equal, but there still are necessities in having a wide receiver, having a running back, having at least one tight end. So you still have that. It's not all, a flex, super flex spot. There's still some of those requirements. I just did away with the quarterback one because of how restrictive the 32 quarterbacks are in the NFL starting any given week. So with that said, we're going to get into it. If you still don't know what in the world I'm talking about, more of it will come to light. And please, if you're wondering why in the world do I want to see this, please check this out because there's going to be opportunities for you to join this next season, 2022. We'll keep doing this, hopefully expand into more divisions, more leagues. I've talked to a lot of people already on Twitter since the season started who are complaining or talking about scoring. One of the big things I added that Scott Fishbowl scoring does not have is I made the quarterbacks rush yards are scored at the same rate as their passing yards. So they're not getting a bonus. It's not worth more to have your quarterback run the ball than pass the ball. So it really makes sure that your quarterbacks are good quarterbacks, good passers. If they run, it's points still. It's just not twice as much or more than throwing the ball. All right, so we're going to get into it. We're going to look at some of the top teams. First off, let's show you the league. There's this current standings, So I'm going to go over a few of the top teams, going to observe how their roster construction looks, right? Because this league is a little bit of an experiment. At this point, I don't think it is. It's working. It's working out really well. And we'll see that in these teams and their construction. That's what I'm saying to anyone out there who's still watching, who doesn't know what this is. Keep watching because this is a really fun and exciting format. It gives you so much flexibility to build the team you want to build. And there's going to be chances for you to get into one of these leagues next year. Already I have some other people who wanted to join, but we couldn't fill a whole nother league. And then since the season I've started, like I said, I've been in contact with other people who've shown interest. So I think we're going to have 2 filled this coming season. So let's look. You can see we've got a lot of teams with 5 or more wins. That's because we do have a couple of guys down here who, look, you can build whatever your team you like, but if it doesn't work, basically there's a little less insulation. So these teams, it did not go the way they wanted. Absolutely. I know one of them wanted to try something new. One of them was new to the format this season. And, sometimes, especially with this format, it's just about picking the right players too, because it's not about finding the exploit in the format when it comes to positions, because I don't think there's as much of one. So let's show you what I mean. We've got Dark Helmet. He's running in here with the most points, tied in record at 7-2. So let's see what his team looks like. No surprise, this guy, but I will say he only took first in the last couple weeks. He was hovering around second before that. So while it seems like, well, if it's a super flex league, yes, the team with Lamar Jackson. Oh, I'm going to switch myself down here so you can see a little better. The team with Lamar Jackson And he does have Kyler Murray down here, right? Is obviously going to be good. But look at the rest of his team. To be that good at quarterback in this format, as you would in a super flex, he had to sacrifice draft capital and other things. There's opportunity cost involved. So that's why when people say, well, why wouldn't you just draft nothing but quarterbacks? We're going to see several teams here that answer the question, why not draft just quarterbacks? Because you can have a good team without doing that. You can spend that draft capital somewhere else. But Dark Helmet did go after these top guys. It's worked out for him. He has a couple decent wide receivers. Chris Godwin, Mike Williams really helps, right? Him kicking it in, because these other guys haven't done much for him. His wide receivers are a little bit weak, really. Joe Mixon staying healthy, Najee Harris. So he kind of has those four big players, the two quarterbacks, the two running backs, have really been helping to carry him. Gronk, I'm sure, early in the season. Now Ertz is coming back. So it's just kind of worked out pretty well for him all around. But you can see what I'm saying about the construction here. He went with a couple big quarterbacks, some solid running back ones, and was filling in the wide receiver position instead. All right. Now we'll go to Rich Frito Bandito. He has Josh Allen, but that's kind of his best quarterback. In this scoring, I want you to see, look, fantasy points scored right up here. 93 by Goff, 76 by Tua. You add those up in this scoring, and it's still less than Josh Allen has by himself. Just to give you an example of how much of a difference, being good makes. And Goff doesn't score great in this, average of 11. Tua, when he has played, has been okay, but he's been inconsistent in just playing, in starting. He's in the game tonight after Brissett got hurt. Hope Brissett's okay. I mean, Brissett's not the best quarterback in the world, but I have a lot of respect for him, what he's done in this league, and he's a solid backup, and I hope he's all right. But you can see here his team, after the quarterbacks, he's got a solid mix of running backs, which honestly have worked out for him at a good cost. Gordon and Connor in particular. And then he's got Chuba Hubbard, who, with Christian McCaffrey going out, he got a bunch of good starts out of him, Devonta Booker. So he's got a bunch of pickups playing well, and cheaper running backs playing well for him. Meanwhile, this guy is Pittman, Lamb, and Cooper Kupp. You knew the Cooper Kupp team had to be up near the top, and there he is. He does have Gibson hanging out down here, Calvin Ridley hanging out down here. Both of them disappointments with high draft capital, and yet he's still here in second place. So that speaks to his pickups and the other players who have been performing well above their draft capital. So that's a second place team, but also 7-2. So these guys are right up at the top. Then we got Football Brian, and you'll see his running backs, his quarterbacks are Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. Not great. Not great at all. Let's look at the total points. Matt Ryan's turned it on a couple these last few games. I think he's had two really good ones. So this looks much better. But early in the season, he was right up there. I believe he was even first place for a while, with Matt Ryan and Big Ben as his quarterbacks. And you can start up to 4 of these guys. There's 4 super flex spots. So it's really just a matter of how good a quarterbacks do you want to start. Because if they're bad, they're not scoring much more than these other players. And you can see average of Big Ben is less than 3 of his starting running backs, right? So he's got some strong running backs, though. Aaron Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, and Fournette's come on for him, I'm sure. 11th rounder. Justin Jefferson, Tyler Lockett, Marquise Brown's come in big from him, paid up for Mark Andrews, okay? So you can see right away, he's got Gesicki on the bench. Probably shouldn't be on the bench. But he's got a strong roster other than his quarterbacks. So his weak spot is the quarterbacks. He's strong in the other positions. Again, you can see how this works. This guy was the number one team for several weeks, and he's still up there at third, 6-3 record. Not good quarterbacks, great running backs and wide receivers and tight ends. So you can see what I'm talking about when I say that this is a flexible format. Let's look at my own team. I'm sitting at fourth. I think I have the most points of all the teams that are 5-4. Yeah, I mean not much. And I play one of those 5-4 KC's team this week, so that's going to decide whether I, drop a good 4 probably spots or not. So technically I'm in fourth, but it's not that good. 5-4, yeah, not that great. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, my guys, they've been my targets. I think I have the exact same two in my Scott Fish Bowl, which is similar quarterback scoring. They've been my targets in this kind of scoring. Carr has had his up and downs. He's been not great lately, but he had some really strong outings early, and Kirk Cousins has just been consistent. Meanwhile, I paid up at running back. I mean, Myles Gaskin, I didn't pay. It looks, fifth round. I was reaching at that point. I was making people pay for not taking running backs, but I got Cook, Swift, and Barkley down here sitting. Hopefully I'll have him back next week. James Robinson, super late, 10th round. All right. And then I pieced it together at wide receiver, got Debo and Thielen. Really, that's what's coming through for me. My tight end is probably the weakest spot. Hooper is not doing it for me this year. But with Fant being out, Albert O had some good game, decent points. I might actually be looking to make a trade. So, hey, anyone out there want to trade a tight end, talk to me. I got running backs. All right. I got running backs all over the place. Yeah, because I also have Antonio Brown. I picked him up fairly late. See here, 8th round. Beasley. So these are just solid starting flex. You think of them as flexes, but when you have a starting lineup this deep, no kickers defense, obviously, you're able to really make it work with those guys as long as I've got like Thielen and Debo hitting. So, that Thielen Cousins stack is terrifying. I said that coming into the season. It was such a cheap, but such a high upside. For the most part, it's hit. Not always, but for the most part, it has, and that's why I'm here in fourth. I'm going to see, let's look at a couple other teams just real quick. You can kind of get a sense of the direction that some of these teams went. Real kind of balanced team there by KC, if I remember that evaluation. I think similar thing here for Justin's team. It was pretty balanced. He come out hurting in quarterbacks, not doing as well as you'd hope maybe. Really strong wide receivers actually. He with a little bit discount with the running backs, but that's paying off with Henderson for sure. Yeah, so you can see what I'm saying here. He had there it is. I thought so. He had Derrick Henry. That's gonna really hurt. But anyway, you can see what I'm talking about these guys. Let's look at. Yeah, I hate to do it, but we got to, guys. I'm sorry. Let's look at these 1-8 teams and see why are they 1-8. Okay, because they didn't go after quarterbacks at all. So you could say that's a weakness with the scoring. I don't think so. Look, he did go after Ryan Fitzpatrick, who got hurt. I think it would have been a good start for him. He's got some other good players. Problem is, I think he went so hard on wide receivers that he ended up weak at both running back and quarterback, and that I think was the real problem. Is he was strong at wide receiver, but when you're that strong at wide receiver, you're having to choose between them to start, and you're ending up with a lot of draft capital and points on your bench, and you're weak at 2 other positions, and you do have to start at least 2 running backs still. And when it's Drake and Madison, mean, he probably's gotten some use out of Jamal Williams, but he went really extreme on the zero running back. I think he needed to get, if he's going to go zero running back, he needed to get at least one good tight end, quarterback, sorry, in there to help boost the scoring potential. Then I'm going to look at, it's not coming up, Stone Jesus. Again, he went no quarterbacks, I think, until like maybe the last round is when he took Taysom Hill or Brissett. I don't remember. Very late. Better running backs, Kamara, Jacobs, Hines. Also, of course, went after wide receivers, has Hawkinson. Honestly, I don't think his team is that bad. And I don't think it comes back to the quarterback thing. Although I will say he should have had better running backs passing on quarterbacks as much as he did. You can see their points are down pretty good. But even then, guys, I can look up other leagues I'm in, that there's a much wider range in difference in points scored than we have in this league. So even though the records seem a little extreme, 1-8 to 7-2, I'm in some leagues where the actual points scored range is even more than that. Probably one of them at least is a dynasty, which that can happen if a team is managed badly. But anyway, that's the league. That's where we're at. People are trying to make a playoff push here. I'm hoping to stay in here. I need to get a win or two. But that is how this league looks, how it works. That's why I say that you're able to build the team you want, because we had teams with bad quarterbacks, we had teams with extra good quarterbacks, bad running backs. You can build it how you like. I just do, again, suggest you not go bad, really bad at two different positions. And that's just kind of a general thing. I don't think that's that specific to this format. This format does work really well with my whole idea of a high ground draft approach, where you want to pick out something to be really good at, and know where you're going to be bad. And so for any of these teams, they absolutely could have been bad at quarterback and really good at wide receiver, but you needed to also be, passable at running back and tight end at the same time. You're not supposed to be the worst at two different positions. I'm not saying they were. Actually, Kevin, you had the best. You were. Sorry, Kevin. I mean, you had the best wide receivers, but you had like almost more than you knew what to do with. But those running backs, you didn't hit on the backups that are hitting right now. Although Madison had a couple of weeks there, and I mean the quarterback, no quarterback. So hope you, if you're watching this, I don't know why if you're not in the league, but hey, maybe you were interested in the division, in the format. So hit me up, DM me on Twitter at FusionFFB, and I'll get you on the list for next year. The more the merrier, the more we can donate. I'm very excited to expand this. Maybe other people. It doesn't have to be me. The settings are all available. You can do this on Flea Flicker. And of course, you can do it on my fantasy league, MFL. But as of right now, Sleeper can't handle the settings because there are specific scoring differences for wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and so on. Sleeper does not allow that at the moment. So that's why it's on Flea Flicker. You're wondering, what is this? That's why it is. I do enjoy the Flea Flicker, but I know some people really dislike it. But that is where I was able to do it and do it for free because I want to donate more money. But if somebody wants to donate towards it, if you really want to do it on MFL, I don't care. as long as it can handle the setup, let's do it. So hit me up if you're interested. Again, everyone who is in this dark helmet, Rich, Brian, Casey, Justin, Anad, John, Big Sneak, Kevin, and Jesus. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this league. It seems like everyone's still been pretty active. Uh, I can't say it any more than I already have. So thank you. Good luck in the playoff push. We've got we literally, any one of these teams except for probably the last two, yeah, they are eliminated. Everyone else is in contention. So there you go, because it's only 4 and 5. So you win like 3 in a row here and you're in. Okay, so it's week 10. Let's go get them, guys. Have a good rest of the season. I hope to do another video at the end of the season recapping who won. I'll dig deeper into roster construction, draft capital spent on the various positions, and so on. Then what the roster looked like by the time they were done, and all of that. I'll dig more into that in the off season. I do that for myself. Hopefully it's fun for you guys. I also like to be able to helps me analyze and see if I need to change anything in the format. But so far, so good. Thanks, guys. Again, see you next week. Probably not, but hopefully you're watching my shows, and hopefully I've had the time and energy to do it like I haven't lately. But we'll be moving before you know it. Next week tonight, before you know it, it's going to become next off season. Before we're even in the off season, because that's just what I do. So, hope you can join me when you see me come out with something on the YouTube or on podcast. This is not going to be on the podcast, just a YouTube because it's so visual, but you can always find me there as well. Thanks, guys. See you next time.